I'm AJ from MCM, and today I'm here with Karen Lee, the CEO of SEEC. Welcome to our little podcast.
Thanks for having me.
For sure. And can you tell us a little bit more about the organization and what you guys do there?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're an organization, a nonprofit here in Montgomery County, and we provide supports to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So sometimes people with autism or people who have cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, or other kinds of intellectual disabilities. And we help mostly adults, and we help them to, what we say, live, work, and thrive. And so we help them to do the same things that everybody else does: get a job, live in their own place, make friends, be a part of a faith community, just be a part of their community. And our staff are there to help them to live, work, and thrive.
That's amazing. And you said mostly adults. I was wondering, do you usually help a lot of teens out or kids?
So the way that the funding system works, it's Medicaid pays for long-term funding, both at the federal and the state level, and it pays for what we call long-term support services, or LTSS. And generally, it's people over the age of 21 that are eligible for that service. So there are some people who are under 21 that we work with, but mostly the school system provides those supports for them and their families. So these are people who are over 21.
Gotcha. That does make a lot of sense now. And I was also wondering, I heard you guys have a person first language project or mission.
Yeah.
Can you describe that a little bit?
Yeah. So we want to be respectful, just like every other organization, about who it is that we work with. So there are different ways that people want to be referred. So people that are deaf want to be considered as deaf people, and people who have autism want to say, I'm an autistic person. Whereas many people with intellectual disabilities might say to you, I'm a person first. I want you to acknowledge that I'm Steve, or I'm Bill, or I'm AJ, and I'm a person with a disability. So you think about me as my person first. So that's actually changed over the years, because we didn't used to think that way. We used to say, you know, they're an autistic person, or they're a person with an intellectual disability. But then different groups of people have come forward to say, no, we're autistic and we're proud of that. And so we don't really want to be called a person with autism. We want to be an autistic person. So you have to know the nuances of, just like in any other group, how they want to be referred to.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know there's a lot of students at my school who have learning disabilities, and it's amazing being able to walk by them in the hall and say hi, ask how their day was, and just have a normal conversation with them.
That's great.
It's amazing to hear how you guys have helped.
Yeah, we've worked with students. You and I were talking earlier about where you went to high school, and we were talking, and I've worked with students that help them to transition. We call that period. So students with intellectual and developmental disabilities actually go to school till they're 21. So while you're getting ready to go to college, they're still thinking about some of the learning they need to do to get ready for work, because a lot of times they don't go on to college, they just go on to work. Sometimes they do to go to Montgomery College or a different kind of program for people with intellectual disabilities, but mostly they go straight into work. And so that period between 18 and 21, we call that transition, and they're learning the skills to be successful. So when you're meeting with people and you're seeing them and asking how their day was, ask them about their careers, ask them what they're interested in and what they're good at, and that's great.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, I'm having a future in film and television program.
Promising future, I can see that.
Hopefully all goes well. And I was also wondering, you said Montgomery Community College.
Mm-hmm.
Do you plan on branching out of MoCo, or planning on branching out to other states or any counties?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the need here in Montgomery County is pretty high. I told you about the long-term support services. So at the state level, the organization that supports us is called the Developmental Disabilities Administration, and it's a part of the Department of Health. And this is a really surprising figure people have. They don't really always know, but the amount of money that's allotted every year by our legislature to support people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in the state of Maryland $2.6 billion with a B. That's a lot of money, right?
Oh yeah.
Here in Montgomery County, there is probably about $500 million that's allotted for Montgomery County citizens that have, or residents that have intellectual and developmental disabilities, to provide their support so that they can get jobs and go to school and live in their own place and get the supports in for their family. And so there's such a need here in Montgomery County, but we actually do also work in DC. I always tease people and say that we're a national organization because we work in both DC and Maryland. And so there are organizations in every state across the country that do what we do. Here in Maryland, there's about 230 organizations like ours, but here in Montgomery County, there's about 30 that do the work that we do. So the need is out there because we're really very specialized.
Awesome. It's glad to see how surrounding the community is and
Yeah.
how amazing it is. And I was also gonna ask, do you guys do any events or any local fundraisers?
Yeah. So partnerships is like the key part of what we do at SEEC. And I think it's the thing that really sets us aside from those other 29 organizations that do what we do. We're really involved in lots of partnerships. So we're involved in the county with the Montgomery College and with City of Rockville, City of Gaithersburg, and Montgomery County government. We have something called Project Search, and it's an internship program for young adults who have disabilities, where they go to a classroom for an hour a day at Montgomery College or at Montgomery in Montgomery County government, and then they intern for the rest of the day. And our hope is that they learn those internship skills and those work skills right on the job, and that after a year they get hired. So it's a year-long program. And so we partner with Montgomery College, we partner with Montgomery County School System, Montgomery County, but we also have relationships with employers. So we have a relationship with about 400 employers in Montgomery County, small little 1-2 person employers, and some really, really big employers as well. Safeway, Target, NIH, but also small, a garage, or many, many different small organizations. So partnerships are key to helping people with disabilities build relationships. So organizations, just like you're here as an intern, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It's an opportunity. This as a group that supports the relationship with Montgomery County high schools. So yeah, partnerships are absolutely critical with individuals, with employers, with apartment complexes, with recreation centers and art classes and government. So partnerships are absolutely critical to our success.
Yes, ma'am. It definitely sounds like it. And with those partnerships, I was wondering, you mentioned like top sellers like Target and Safeway. I was wondering, is there like any way you can reach out to any other like grocery stores or complexes like that?
Yeah.
Companies?
So we've got an entire infrastructure in our organization around partnerships. We have a director of partnerships, and then we also have an employment outreach team, and we have a housing partnership group. So we have people who on every single day are reaching out. They're members of chambers of commerce, and they're just always creating new partnerships. And sometimes those partnerships quickly become a relationship that is solidified. And sometimes there are a lot of finessing that needs to be done, and it might take a little bit longer, or it might take a couple people trying it out. You just never know, because you want to make sure it's a good match, that the person really wants that partnership, and that the partner, the community partner, is also somebody who wants to be in that partnership. So a lot of trial and error. A lot of time spent thinking strategically about how and where we need to have those partnerships.
Yes, ma'am. And I was also curious about volunteers, or if you guys have any local volunteers or anyone that
Lots of volunteers, and our volunteers do many things. We have a board of directors, course, they're all volunteers because we're a nonprofit organization. And we have volunteers that lead classes. They might lead a cooking class, or we have volunteers that help to do fundraising or are on committees, a quality assurance committee. We use volunteers for all sorts of things, maybe to develop a relationship or a friendship, kind of like what you've done with some of the students that you work with. I know a lot of schools have the Best Buddies program, and when people graduate from high school, they're like, how do I keep this, relationship up? I really like the relationship with somebody who has a disability. I like to help them to become members of the community. So you can go to our website, which is www.seekonline.org. It's SEEC online, online.org, and you'll see there a place that says to volunteer. And a part of our partnerships is we have somebody who's a volunteer coordinator, and also internships. So I know that there's people who are looking for summer internship opportunities coming up, and we have a really robust internship program for people to work directly with people with disabilities, but also in the organization, in fundraising, in government relations, in communication, in the partnership development or the employer outreach. So a lot of different ways that we try to engage people in being a part of our community.
That's amazing. And you mentioned that the internship program. I was wondering, did you also allow kids like me or students to be involved with this internship?
We have a partnership with MCPS, the RISE program, where we bring students in, and they do 4 weeks in the summer, and we have a project. We also have a lot of college students that come for the summer, and as I said, they might work in the data, they might work with our data analyst, or they might work in IT. So they might actually work with people with disabilities, or they might work in the infrastructure of the company that supports that. I mean, you can imagine we're an organization, we have almost 300 staff. And so we are a large organization, and you've got to have a training department and a human resources department and an IT department and all of that. And so we try to create those internship opportunities in all of those areas.
Gotcha. And it was amazing to talk to you. Do you have any last words or final thoughts you would like to share?
No, other than to say that I'm really happy to have a time to talk to you and tell you a little bit about our work and how people with intellectual and developmental disabilities belong as members of their community, and the support that they receive from their families, but also from the direct support professionals that work at SEEC, the people who are out there helping to create opportunities and eliminate barriers for them. We're always looking for people who are creative and interested, and it's a social justice work, right? Helping people to belong and be part of their community is social justice. So just as this is for you, that may be for other people. So thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. It was an amazing talk, and I'm glad to have learned more about this organization and everything you guys do for the community.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. I'm AJ, and this is Miss Karen Lee, and thank you for joining us for this awesome interview.
Thanks for having me.
And I hope to see you guys again very soon.